I'm Morgan,
And I'm Megan.
twins and hosts of M&M Chat, a monthly podcast that brings together our many commonalities: motherhood, farm life, fitness, chasing our passions, and Go Chat. It is our goal to create a show that is positive, real, and fun.
All right, guys, welcome to our August episode. I can't believe it's already August and summer is dwindling down. We have a fun, just kind of quick episode for you guys tonight. Morgan and I were going back and forth on what topic we should do, and we just kept talking about the Olympics and talking about starting the school year and coaching soccer and just our own fitness journeys. And so we kind of went around the idea of mompreneurs. And the idea came from just kind of chasing your passions as a mom and not losing yourself and not losing your goals, but also while being a mom, still going after some of those things that you've always longed for, even before motherhood. So we have a couple articles that we found tonight, and one talks about just having passions and goals in motherhood. It's actually kind of a funny article title. It says, it's like a play on words. It says, "You're a bad mom for pursuing your passions." But really, the article is talking about how not even close. Like, you're not a bad mom if you have visions and goals that you want to strive for during that season of your life. And then we also have a couple articles from just the Olympics, and this one is called "I'm an Olympic Star. Why is motherhood still a barrier in an elite sport?" And we have some thoughts on that tonight too. So get ready, grab something to drink, sip on your coffee or your tea or your water, whatever you want, and you guys come have this conversation with us because I think it will be a good one.
I think so too. I'm really excited about this conversation. I think mm, both of us have so many different passions, and we've actually had the request of covering how do you fit your passions and your goals and the things and your hobbies into your busy life and your busy schedule. And now that we're in motherhood, like how do we balance? Like we both have full-time jobs too, but we're still pursuing these things that we enjoy on the side, like working out, meal prepping, being on the farm, even reading and having time, quiet time, like in the mornings and journaling and things. All the things that we try to do in our day, we've had the question of how do you fit everything in? And I think this is an important conversation because I think sometimes we can get stuck with limitations of like, well, I'm so busy and we can have this mindset. I'm actually taking a class right now. Speaking of side things, I'm taking a class right now that I have to take for my CTE endorsement. And the whole last chapter was all about looking at how can you fit things in, like how can you fit things into your day. And when someone says, "How are you doing?" Most of the time we get the answer of busy or things have just been crazy or things have been kind of hectic. And especially they were talking about as a teacher, your whole day is going to be hectic. Like things come and
Oh
go all the
yeah.
time.
Oh yeah.
And it was interesting because they brought in an ER doctor to do a TED talk about how she stays calm on an emergency shift. And they said she said a lot about how when someone says, "How are you doing?" she never adds the word crazy to her reply because when you're in that crazy mindset, then your whole day is going to then reflect on how you're
Mhm.
thinking about that. And so I think this that ties in really well with these two articles because if we can set limitations on ourselves of what we can do because if we think, "Oh, we have this big long to-do list," sometimes we can put ourselves on the back burner.
Oh yeah.
And it can be hard to put ourselves first when you are a mom or when you have a career or when you have laundry to do or different things like that. But it's important not to forget ourselves. And that's what this first article talks about. And I don't know, Megan, which one you want to talk about first, if we should talk about the Olympics or if we should talk about this moms with passions.
Let's
Which
go
one do you
into
think we should
the
dive in?
let's do the moms with passions with the one talking about how you're not a bad mom if you have goals, because I think this paragraph goes along nicely with what you're talking about. It says, quotes, "We are raised in a culture that tends to reward personal sacrifice over personal productivity." And we as women and moms have been raised to believe that we are only good moms if we sacrifice our own goals, interests, and dreams to motherhood. We kill ourselves trying to do all the things for our kids and check ourselves at the door for fear of being a bad mom. But guess what? That's bullcrap. End quotes. Because I think that sometimes when we have seen other people in our lives, like who have cared for us in the past or we admire, they are sacrificing themselves for their family, which is a good thing. We want to do that. We want to sacrifice our time, and God even wants us to be servants at heart for our
Hmm.
family and for our community and for our career, for the people we work with. But I also think that God wants us to take care of ourselves and wants us to enjoy things and
Not
be
forget who
able,
we are.
yeah, and be able to identify who we are and what we like. I have heard from empty nesters who have kids that have left the house who have even said like I don't even know what I enjoy anymore. I don't even know what I like because they didn't stick with those things through motherhood and they focus solely on their kids or their career. And then when the empty nesters, they're like, now what?
Hmm.
And I definitely think it's a goal of mine to get to that point at the end of motherhood and still know who I am. And I know that I'm probably going to have to relearn some passions. I'm probably going to have to get new exciting things once I become an empty nester and things to like go after. But I still want to be able to like say, these are the things I like to do, and I'm going to be okay when my kids leave the house.
I think that's a good point. And I had some people come up to me because I do realize we do a lot, and between the two
Probably
of us,
too much,
yeah,
honestly.
being twins, I feel like sometimes like what I do, people think you do as well, or what you do, they think I do,
Oh,
and
we kind of
sometimes
help each other out with
mhm.
things too.
Yeah, yeah, we help each other out. But also that means we have a good support system because if you need like someone to watch Andrew, I can do that for you. If you need to watch, like if I need you to watch my kids. So anyways, we have a good support system with
Yeah.
that. But when I was pregnant with Dean, I remember people telling me, "Oh, well, what are you gonna put down? What are you gonna not do anymore? What are you gonna say no to? Because as soon as you have that baby, you're gonna have less time. You're not going to be able to do all the things you're doing right now." And I've always had the competitive mindset of like, oh, you don't think so? Well, like,
Yeah.
watch me. I'm going to make it all happen.
Yeah.
Um, and it definitely is harder and more challenging, but that's what I think is like, there's this whole idea of like parents being all consumed with their kids and even forgetting their spouses and stuff like that because they're all consumed with their kids
Yeah.
and their life molds around their kids versus bringing in your kids and having them mold
Be a
around
part
you and
of
your
what your
life.
life already was like.
Because, like with my flowers, yes, with a baby, it is challenging to go down to the garden with Levi, and he's not always the most content just sitting still. But if it's sunny out, I can't always wear him in the carrier. So I will be honest, like I've been waiting for Tyler to come home or doing it after the kids go to bed. But Dean is now at an age where he loves coming down with me, and I'll harvest the bouquet and he goes and puts it in the water for me. And
Yeah.
I think, I mean, he's 3. So
It
from
doesn't take very long to get
no,
them
from
into
that
it.
baby stage to the 3-year-old stage, now Dean's loving coming down there with me. And he sees how excited I am about it. So he gets excited about it. So I think we also sometimes can forget that it doesn't have to be this or that. It can be a mesh of the two.
And usually, if you have a passion, a hobby, or a goal, it does fill your cup. Because I was just thinking about what you said, how sometimes you do it at nighttime after they go to bed or at nap time. And a lot of people would say, well, isn't that your time to rest? Like, don't you want to just like shut your brain off and not do anything? Well, I actually think, I mean, both. I think that we need to have time to like sit and veg on the couch or take a bubble bath. But I also think that a lot of times when we do that, we scroll on our phone
Yeah.
or we're watching the news or things like that. That's actually going to give us a lot of noise in our head and not actually make us rest that much. Whereas when you go out to the garden at night, yeah, it's after bedtime and you're sacrificing your time then. So I think that's when you actually sacrifice too, is sacrifice some of your time for your hobbies, is going
Yeah, because I'm
down.
still putting my kids first the rest of the
Yeah.
day.
Yeah, you're not like doing it in replace of being with them. You're doing it after they go to bed or involving them in it with you. And then when you go down to the garden, you actually have said like it makes the end of your day so good because it's fresh air, it's peaceful. You might listen to a podcast or some music maybe while you're down there, but it's not just white noise
It's
all the
almost, yeah, like meditation. Like I've
Yeah.
tried fitting in like meditation before, and I'm like, I just don't have the time for it. But then I'm like, my workouts are honestly like a meditation for
Yeah.
me if I'm like in the zone, especially if I do it before the kids wake up. And
Yeah.
then also, like, yeah, going on a run or being in my garden and listening to the birds chirping and stuff like that. That to me, and like you said, yes, I do my fair share of watching TV. Like, don't get me wrong, I still do that. I still read a lot,
Well, and
especially like
that
when I'm,
shows you that we do have more time in our day than we actually think. Because
yeah.
even though you have all these things on your to-do list, like taking care of your kids, making supper, dishes, whatever, also your hobbies like flowers, working out, your CTE endorsement class, all of these things on your agenda, you still find time to scroll your phone. You still find time to watch TV or read a book. And so that shows us that we have more time in our day, and we just use that as an excuse to say, I just don't have time for my hobbies. I
Hmm.
just don't have time to walk out. I just don't have time for getting fresh air. And it's like, but did you spend 15 minutes on your phone? Did you watch a documentary on Netflix? Like all of these things that fill our
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, and every day looks different. Like last night, I literally laid in bed for probably 30 minutes and scrolled on my phone. The
Yeah.
night before that, I was out in my garden, and when I got in from outside, I literally went straight to bed. So, yeah, like every day is also not gonna be like, oh, well, I'm gonna have this strict schedule and I'm never gonna like let myself just be like off. Like I'm
Yeah.
always like I do sometimes struggle with always being productive, but I'm not like every day is not so rigorous that
No.
it's A, B, or C or I'm mad about it. No, like
No.
I might like tonight I'm not working on my class because we're doing the podcast, but tomorrow night I'll probably try to get a homework assignment done after the kids go to bed. So it's also balancing of like what is your most important priority right now? What do you have to get done? And then
Yeah.
there's some nights that you might have more flexibility and I might choose to go on a run versus watching TV.
Yeah, I was actually listening to a podcast episode by Mel Robbins, and she was talking about how a lot of times people feel overwhelmed because they have, think about your computer, like having all these tabs open. They're trying to watch TV, scroll their phone, check their emails, make supper, all at the same time. And yeah, you feel burnt out and overwhelmed because you're like, I don't know what my brain's doing when and what. She said, but instead, if you just take one task at a time and focus on that one task, you won't feel so burnt out and you'll feel more joy. So if it's walking in the door time, put your phone in a basket, she said. So like you're putting it to rest for that moment and go make supper and just make supper. And then if you're going to go play with your kids, still leave your phone on the counter and go play with your kids. But then if your kids are busy playing and you want to go ahead and do something quick for work on your email or do something like that, then you set that time. Okay, while they're playing for 15 minutes, I'm going to go and do this. So she was like, just being super intentional, I think is the biggest thing. Whereas a lot of us have like 100 tabs open in our head at once and we're trying to do everything. And I've been notorious for that, where I've been sitting on the couch, I've had my laptop, I've had my phone, I've had the TV on. I've also been trying to sip on something yummy. And it's
Hmm.
like you have 500 things that you're thinking about, and nothing's getting actually done because you are so overwhelmed with everything.
I've noticed even like I think also that's where you can like lessen the mom guilt because I've noticed for sure that when you are distracted by something, like if I even when you and
Mm-hmm.
I this summer are texting each other back and forth about like, hey, what's the plan? Like, do you want to meet up for a walk or do you want to go to the splash pad? And Dean's pulling on me like, mom, and I'm like, Dean, just a second. Mom's texting May May, trying to figure out the plan for the day. Then like I can tell that he's
Yeah.
starting to like
Want your
notice that I'm
attention.
not fully, yeah, giving him the attention. But if I, like you said, am like, okay, once I figure out our plan and I put my phone away and I go and get him ready for the day or get him dressed and giving him my undivided attention, like you can tell that those moments are so much like you're less stressed as a mom.
Yeah.
You're less frustrated because you're only doing one task versus like trying to text you, trying to get him breakfast, trying to
Yeah.
feed Levi. Like I'm trying to do all these things. But if I just say, just 1 second, let me text Megan back, let me figure out the plan, and then mommy will get you ready. That like goes so much smoother, like you were
Yeah.
saying, because you're focused on one thing, and then you can say, give mommy 1 moment, and then you can turn and give them and I feel like you just have less stress, like and you can balance things better because you're focused on that one thing, giving your attention to that thing, and then yeah.
I think the kids' behavior is better too when you put your phone away. And they actually, this Mel Robbins podcast was saying how just having a phone out on the table makes the connection between you and the other person go down, whether it's your kids or whether it's like a friend at a coffee shop. If like their phone is sitting out and it gets a ding, or isn't it kind of like sometimes like awkward? Like, do I like look the other way while they respond, or do I like keep talking so that sorry guys, I keep coughing, that connection goes down instantly with just having the phone present, even if they're not on it.
I think so too, 100%.
And we're not,
Uh,
Morgan and I are not perfect at this. Like today, I was looking on Pinterest for a dinner recipe with like that Polish kibosh sausage. Literally just I told Andrew I'm trying to figure out what we're gonna have for supper. I'm on Pinterest and he doesn't understand because he doesn't know what's all my phone's capable of doing. And he was outside playing. And I said, let me look to see what I'm gonna make for dinner. He said to me twice, Mama, get off the phone. But he says don't because he can't say the F yet. Mom, get off your don't. Get off your don't. And so I'm like, he's telling me that I'm not present right now. And I'm telling him that I'm busy doing something. So I'm not perfect and I'm not present 100% of the time, but it's just about that finding kind of moments throughout the day where you are.
I do need to, speaking of like the flower business, I post a lot when I'm doing the flowers, like of me harvesting, of me setting up the flower stand, of us putting bouquets together. And I have noticed that Dean sometimes lately he's been getting kind of silly. Like if I pull up the camera, he like will come up and make a funny face or something.
Yeah.
And he like is just trying to be silly because he's like, oh, here mom's posting
Yeah.
again. And I need to be more strategic about not always showing, but he's so cute when he
I
harvests that.
know.
I'm like, this is such a great picture opportunity because he's
I
holding
know.
a bouquet or something
I
or helping
know.
me harvest. But I need to do those type of things more like I had like this weekend I did it when I was by myself setting up the flower cart. And that way I'm not always like, say cheese,
I
pause.
know.
Like,
I have a hard time with that because I don't want a camera in Andrew's face all the time. But are we millennials?
I guess so, yeah.
As a millennial mom, I'm like, that would be such a cute picture. I gotta get it. And
Yeah.
I'm not sitting there like the whole time taking 100 with my phone out. I actually do pretty good about being like one or two snaps. If it doesn't turn out, I put it away.
Yeah.
Because Andrew actually he doesn't get that sick of me asking him to take a photo because I don't sit there for 10 minutes being like, no, different angle, smile. But
Yeah.
I do think that it's important to not have it in their face all the time too, because I don't want them to. Why are you in your closet?
Tyler's Tyler's going to bed, so I'm just
Oh,
slowly walking out so you guys don't see him getting into bed, and I'm coming out to the kitchen.
but anyhow, so we kind of got on a tangent there. But this last one from this article says, quote, on the other hand, however, I'd argue that making yourself a priority and pursuing your own passions and dreams can make you a better, happier mom. So you can get a babysitter, or your mom can take the kids once or twice a week so you can work on your goals. Maybe you take the kids to the park and play and bring your laptop, or your husband does the bedtime bath and book routine a couple nights so you can pursue your dreams. So it's just talking about ideas, and that was end quote, but talking about ideas of how you could make it work. So let's
And
move
I
on
will
to the
say,
next article.
yeah, one last thing on that. I will say we are very lucky. We do have a great support system.
Oh yeah.
Parents and our in-laws and our spouses and having each other and siblings and stuff like that. Like we are very, very fortunate to have help.
Yeah, because honestly, I don't hardly ever pay for a babysitter.
No.
We have so many family members that are willing always and want to like
Yeah.
ask. Sometimes they ask, "Hey, can I come get the kids while you guys go and do this?"
Yeah. So I definitely don't take that for granted. I understand some people don't have that around them, especially if they live like away from their families and things like that. So that does help a lot with us
Oh
being able
yeah.
to do the things that we want to do. All right, you guys. So the next article is called I'm an Olympic Star. Why is motherhood still a barrier in an elite sport? And this is from the Huff Post. This article was very interesting. I've been following the Olympics. Tyler says that I'm being kind of, he's like, which I do go through kind of like these like
Phases.
sport, yeah, phases. That's a good word of like something that I'm really interested and passionate about. And just like I just am like I'm just like that. I just
You just like to
go through
learn new things.
I'm a constant learner and I just find things interesting. So I've been following the Olympics the whole time so far, and I've been following individuals, and there's a couple athletes that I've been really following, and a couple of them I've been just amazed by. So this article is all about motherhood. And there's this one athlete, Abigail. She's a team of Great Britain. She completed in the women's long jump qualification in Tokyo Olympic Games in 2020. And she ended up, so it said on here, so it said in the beginning, let me go back to it. Um, so she's a long jumper who represented Great Britain in 2007 and then also complete since 2007 and competed in the 2020 Tokyo Olympics. She said firsthand that she's seen the inequalities that women face in elite sports. As a sportswoman, our bodies are intrinsically linked to our ability to perform at an elite level. But unlike men whose hormonal states remain pretty consistent, we have to strategize with the precision of our engineering around our hormones, menstruation, desperately hoping that we maybe won't have our period during competition times and things like that. And Megan's chuckling. Um, but I think it is important. We laugh about it, but I think that definitely is important because that would like imagine being at the Olympic Games and you got your period during your race or something like around that time. That would be frustrating.
That would
But
be.
anyways, it says, and then what about pregnancy? For many women, deeply unfairly, it spells the end of their career. In very recent history, female athletes were punished for getting pregnant. Contracts were cut and funding was dropped, and careers were um, kind of like careers were kind of ended from that. And so there's been now, and Megan's laughing because there's different wars in this article that are kind of
Morgan
funny.
skipping a couple ones like scuppered.
We'll link the article, so if you want to go back and listen
I've
or
never heard
read it,
that word
yes,
before. Funding was
scuppered.
dropped and careers was scuppered.
But so I've really been from this article and then some other ones that I've been following. There are some moms that are competing in the Olympics or competing on an elite level in sports. For example, there's this another runner. Her name's Ellie St. Pierre, and she's a dairy farmer in Vermont, and she's a runner, and then she's also a mom. And then there's also this Alyssa Montano. She received a 50% cut to her ASICS contract because she failed to hit her performance minimums while she was pregnant. And then in 2017, Nike slashed the contract of the most decorated female Olympian in track and field athletics by 70% um, when she sought to renegotiate her contract during her pregnancy. So those are some Olympics and then Olympic athletes. And then there's also, I've been watching Indiana Fever games because of Caitlin Clark. And there's a player on that team that has a 1-year-old. And so there's these athletes that have been pregnant or are in the season of motherhood that are still competing. And I think we'll continue to see more of that. But I think that's just I just we'll stop there and I'll let you pick up the conversation then because I'm just like amazed
Yeah.
at these women. Like
Yeah. And
to
I
come like I mean I'm still obviously postpartum healing, but like just to think about going out and competing in a race at the Olympics or to compete in like these elite basketball games and stuff while postpartum, it's just amazing what the woman body can do.
Oh yeah, I agree with you. I think these people are I admire these athletes and these people going after their goals even through motherhood. And like you said, I have a feeling we'll see more of this as we progress through the years. It does seem like there's a lot of famous people who have really big dreams and goals, whether they're athletes or singers or even actors. A lot of people do put motherhood kind of on the back burner, like maybe down the road, but they don't want to ruin their careers during that season because of motherhood, which is so sad. Like you should be able to do both. If you have
Hmm.
a family and you want to have a family and that's a goal of yours, you should still be able to uh go after your goals and your passions, whether that is athletics or in our everyday, like going after a new career, going back to school, since we're not famous, but still kind of the same thing.
What Megan our podcast is famous.
Hey, it
Guys,
might
make
be
sure you subscribe because that helps us out a
might
lot.
be down the road.
We're gonna listen back to this someday and we're gonna be like, remember that time?
But I do think it is important to remember that. And you guys, we have to remember that our bodies are strong. I did a post about this on my Instagram, Facebook not too long ago if you guys want to go check it out, but I talked about how I am a part of a couple of mama groups and it's eye-opening. It's honestly eye-opening. Food for thought, just eye-opening. The amount of people, the amount of women who have said things like they're very low energy. They're constantly tired. They don't feel very good. They feel depressed or they feel lonely or all of these different negative emotions and feelings. And I think a lot of it has to do with health, mental health, physical health. And I am not like 100% feeling good every single day within my pregnancy. And I know that I'm very blessed with a good pregnancy when I was pregnant with Andrew and with this new baby. And not everybody has good pregnancies, so I don't want to take anything away from that. Like there are very real symptoms out there. People might have to be on bed rest. People might have high blood pressure. People might have heartburn. Like so many different symptoms out there that
Hmm.
people can get. So I'm not taking anything away from that, but I don't think we give ourselves enough credit as women, maybe in just today's society and culture, that sometimes we're like, oh, I'm pregnant now. I can't be doing that. And I'm not saying you have to go and run a marathon, but I do think our bodies are stronger than what we give them credit for. Like for example, being a body partner, I've reached out to people prior to being pregnant, like prior to having Andrew, I would reach out to somebody who maybe was pregnant or just had a baby. And I would say, hey, I'm doing this fitness program. What are your thoughts? Would you like to do it with me? And I actually like would get a response back that was pretty negative, like, I just had a baby. I'm not going to be thinking about fitness for a while.
Hmm.
I'm just recently found out I'm pregnant. Like, no, thank you. I'm not gonna be jumping around while I'm pregnant. And I felt really like insensitive towards that. I was like, I'm so sorry. Like, I didn't mean to like offend you. I should have looked. I should have paid attention better and paid attention to like when you had your baby. I'm so sorry. And now that I'm on my second one and I'm still working out every single day and still making it a priority, when someone like is pregnant and I reach out to them, I'm not afraid or feel like I'm being insensitive anymore. I'm like, come on, women, like we can walk out while we're pregnant. You don't have to start something brand new if you want to do prenatal workouts where it's just low impact. That's totally fine. If you are already doing some kind of fitness, then you could keep going at that until you can't anymore and have to modify. But I think our bodies are more capable than what we give them credit for, and movement is for any season of life. So I give it to these athletes for still going after their passions, and training through this season of life of even postpartum and things like that, and obviously giving your body time to recover. But it just shows that like you can build that strength back up after you have a baby. And I definitely want to be a mom who's like in her 40s, still running around with the kids. And then when I have grandkids, like still being young and fit, like that's my personal goal. Sorry, I went on a huge tangent there, but
No, I think that's really important because I also think like, well, and like you're part of this mom group and like everyone, like you said, it's a lot of complaining and like, oh, I'm so tired and I'm so fatigued. And like you said, you don't want to take away from symptoms that are very real. Like people, like especially if they are told by their doctor, like you need to take it easy. Like if there's people out there who are at high risk or things like that. And you should always listen to your body and make sure that you are listening. Like if you need to like lessen your what you're lifting. And like I remember when I was pregnant with Levi, like my legs and like my hips and stuff were really sore. So I made sure like I was using 8 pounds instead of 15 pounds or 20 pounds.
yeah,
I was using like 5 and 8s and stuff like that. And I think we set limitations on ourselves because also it's like, okay, if you are so fatigued, like right now, even in postpartum, like I did something about it. And I'm not saying that I'm perfect, like we've talked about. Like I don't want
yeah.
anyone to think about like listen to our podcast and be like, Megan and Morgan think they have all the answers because we don't.
Well, that's why we research it all, and that's why
That's why, yeah, we're
that's
avid
why we're
learners.
looking up new companies and new products and
And I follow these like athletes on Instagram because
yeah.
I'm like, if they can run in an Olympic race, then
Then I
I
should be
can
able to go do my yoga workout.
do a
That's
push
20
up on my
minutes.
toe. Yeah, do a push up on my toes again.
Yeah.
And because when I was first postpartum, like I'm starting to feel like myself again, but I was like super anxious. I
Yeah.
was super like I felt like my hormones, like I felt like I could cry at any minute. And now I feel like I'm starting to feel more like myself because I did something about it. I got up, I got fresh air. I started working out again. I started prioritizing my nutrition and not eating as much processed foods. I'm trying to lessen my caffeine intake and drinking matcha every once in a while. Like I'm drinking my element packets and my Shakeology and my protein. Like I'm doing something about it because something was wrong. Like
Yeah.
instead of
The
just like
only person that's going to take
looking for a
action
quick,
is you.
yeah, instead of looking for a quick fix or just complaining about it, I'm trying to do something about it. And even like a push up, like push ups on my toes have been really hard this postpartum. And I don't know why. Like part of it is I think my shoulders are sore and I need to figure that out. That speaking of time, I need to just make priority and figure that out. Same with like pelvic floor therapy and things like that.
Yeah.
Like I need to fit that in. I keep saying I don't have time for those things, but if it's important to me, I will fit it in.
Yeah.
But like I'm like, okay, well, how can I? So I started doing this other workout program called the Prep, and through that program, like I did 5 push-ups on my toes the other day before I had to go down to my knees. And before I was postpartum, I could do 10 on my toes, usually pretty good. And so
Yeah.
now I'm like, okay, I'm up to 5. It's not going to happen overnight, but if I
No.
slowly keep working on it and slowly keep trying to build up that strength again, then I will get there. And it's not like just because like I also hear a lot about like your age and stuff like that. And I almost said I was 27. I'm 29 years old. I'm 29 years old and I have no plans of stopping. Like
No.
we want to run a 10K once you're postpartum event, like once you're feeling good. We want to do 75 hard or in a nutritional program together. And so like we have these goals and I'm not like I just because I'm gonna be 30 next year has I am not anywhere near like slowing down. Like yes,
No.
I wake up sore, but I wake up sore and I go stretch and I feel 10 times better afterwards.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. I feel like there's been times when I've woken up recently being pregnant and my back is so stiff that I go to pick Andrew up and I like can't even lift him up. Go down and do my workout, loosen it all back up, and then I can literally lift him up over my head. I'm
Yeah.
like, it's just amazing how you go from one to the other, but just a little bit of self-care does wonders.
And they say a body in motion stays in motion.
Oh
So
yeah.
I think from both of these articles, they were just very inspirational and like we need to make sure that we're not setting excuses and we are going after the things that are important to us. They say, look at your day. What is important to you will be in that day. And so
Hmm.
like obviously motherhood is the biggest portion of my day, but I also want to prioritize being a wife. I want to prioritize having a career. I want to prioritize myself. So look at your day, like what you say is important to you, does it reflect on what your day looks like?
Yeah, I think that's a good tip to end on. All right, guys. So we are heading into school. So be on the lookout for our next podcast. September will be the next one. And Morgan and I are getting ready to buckle up for the school year. We have busy schedules. Speaking of busyness and trying to fit things in, I'm just like, it's a little daunting knowing what's coming up, but we got this and we can stay true to our goals and our passions and still feel that joy in motherhood. So, um, you guys, please like, subscribe, share our podcast. We would love it if more people got to view our podcast episodes so that we can just expand our community with it a little bit more.
And we want this to be a two-sided conversation. We would love to hear what you took away from this episode, what has been challenging for you, what goals you are reaching towards, your thoughts on the articles that we shared. So be sure to, yeah, tag us and let us know your thoughts.
And one last thing, going forward, this whole year has been on reflecting on articles. So we have September, October, November, December, 4 more months, you guys. So if you have any really good articles that you want us to cover, hot topics, things that we are into, motherhood, from life, fitness, chasing our passions, all of those things, send those articles to us because today, honestly, we were looking through some articles and we had trouble finding some. So if you guys kind of push those our way, then we can cover those and hear what you have to say about them too.
Yeah. For coming into this evening, like struggling with what to, like what kind of article we were going to talk about, I really ended up liking this conversation. And I think we got a lot out of it, and hopefully you guys will too. I think it's just perfect timing with the Olympics wrapping up and it's heading into school and that new season, like new routines, like it's just good to reflect and
Oh, yeah, for sure. All right,
all
guys,
right,
thank you.
have a good night or a good day or good morning, whatever you're doing right now.
Bye.
Bye.